This is the Sport Fiction Podcast. We discuss the world of sports at 13 PSI without a trash can in sight. If our answers frighten you, then you should cease asking scary questions. Sport fiction is a made-up piece of literature where a sport has a specific impact on the plot or the main characters. Let's see what these two characters will make up today. One is a sports analytics expert, and the other one, a sports agent. Here are your hosts, Noah and Jorge.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Sport Fiction Podcast. My name is Jorge.
And I'm Noah.
And today, this show is brought to you by our sponsor, Code 18 Consulting. Code 18 provides IT support for small and medium-sized businesses, anything from network support and setup to end-user support. You can contact Code 18 Consulting for all your networking needs. Your computer's messed up, you don't know how it works, call them. You can reach them at contact@code18consulting.com. Noah, glad to have you back.
Yeah, sorry I missed it last week. I was traveling. I'm actually down in South Florida right now. Still, I'm going to be here for the next couple of weeks.
You're just running from the winter, aren't you?
Exactly. You know, I don't do the cold well, so I try to stay warm. Now I'm here for 2 weddings and within 2 weeks of each other. So I'm all about efficiency. I'm just staying down here.
You're getting married twice? I thought that was illegal.
Yeah, you know, we're Mormon. No, I'm just totally kidding.
Go to Utah or something for that? No. Well, man, glad to have you back. I think we missed a lot. You almost got replaced last week.
I saw that. I mean, I all of a sudden I saw I got a new podcast update, and I was like, did he just AI me? Like, what happened here? I guess you replaced me. I mean, I got to admit, she might be better than me. So
we got triple the amount of listeners in 1 week since you've been gone. So I don't know.
we?
That means
maybe I was the problem.
Well, we definitely missed a lot since you were gone. I think that we didn't get to talk a little bit about the results of the playoff games 2 weeks ago. So
yeah.
Let's just start with that. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, I had the Bills as my Super Bowl pick, and in traditional Bills fashion, they really let me down. But to be honest, I think I said it to you. I didn't think I said it on the air. I thought the winner of the Bills-Chiefs game was probably going to go to the Super Bowl. And it had nothing to do with the disrespect to the Ravens. It's just kind of, you know, it was kind of one of those things. I thought those two teams, you never want to play the best player in the world, and that's obviously Mahomes. And I thought the Bills were a better team. They just couldn't finish it. You know, wide right, strikes again.
I don't know. I mean, I get it. The kick off his foot, it kind of looked like it was going to be a good field goal. And I don't know if a gust of wind got it or what in the world, but I wouldn't say that the Chiefs dominated that game, right?
Nope. Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like in these moments that experience, or I don't know, some people call it the refs, but in my opinion, I think is that extra experience and that extra willingness to do whatever it takes, you know, is what the Chiefs bring to the board. And the Bills, you know, they're almost there, and I think they have a lot of talent. But you know, this is what the 4th time that they had a great game like this, these two teams. So I'm glad to get to watch games like this. I just feel bad for the Bills because they keep coming out in the losing end of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth of the matter is, as long as Mahomes is healthy, I mean, you're gonna run into this team every year. And you know, I found it funny. I actually completely forgot that the Chiefs got Mahomes because of the trade that they traded up with the Bills. The Bills traded back.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of ironic. I forgot about that. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard to beat the Chiefs when they're rolling. And it's funny. I mean, like I remember last year, people were like, they're having a rebuild year, a down year. Tyreek Hill's gone. They won the Super Bowl. And then this year they didn't look, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that they didn't look great. But even when a couple of shows ago when I put them, ranked the top teams in I still had them in the top five because historically of who they are and they have the best player in the world. But they didn't play like that this year for most of the season.
Yeah, they didn't look invincible,
No.
all year. You knew teams had a chance going in and playing them. But yeah, I mean that's kind of what happens. I think that Mahomes was a little hurt last year in the playoffs
Yeah.
and still found a way. You know what I mean? So you can't count him out no matter what, I think, whether he's healthy or not.
I mean, all conspiracy theories aside, they just know how to win, and there's something to be said, like you said, with that was our biggest concern with the Ravens, and I think I remember me saying the Ravens. It was like, how do you beat them? You go up early and make them force their way back. We haven't really seen them. They haven't proved that they can do that yet. And not to jump ahead a little bit, but when the Chiefs Ravens game, that's exactly what happened. I mean, that game wasn't even a really particularly good game in my opinion.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, Ravens Texans was a good game for a minute, and then
yeah.
I don't know, Texans fell asleep or something. So I think you picked the Ravens coming out of there. A lot of people wanted CJ to come through and make have an impact on the league right away, which is crazy to think about, right? Um, and then the Ravens just really showed what they've shown all year. But yeah, that changed from week to week because, like you said, moving ahead to this week, when they fall behind, and it wasn't like they were far behind for right away. They fell behind. They kind of came back, and next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, now we're playing catch up the whole time. So yeah, I don't know if they know how to play like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of been the key to beating them when they lose. That's kind of historically how they lose, right? Teams kind of go up on them and they kind of try to fight their way back. But I thought it was real. I mean, you got to give the Chiefs defense credit. They had a really good game plan. They kept Lamar from running all over them, which is much harder to do. It's easier said than done. And look, I mean, there were some crazy things that happened in that game. I mean, Zay Flowers fumbling it in the end zone.
Well, we'll talk about this week. We'll talk about this week in a minute, but let's finish up. So 49ers and Packers. I think this is the game that all of America except San Francisco was rooting for the Cheeseheads, right?
They had it too.
Yeah, so close, man. I don't know. I want to say these 49ers are just like Houdini right now because they should have lost that game. They should have lost this week. So I don't know. Love played well, I thought. And I thought that their defense was kind of bend don't break until it was too late.
Yeah, no, I mean they definitely Love played fine. I mean, like, yes, yeah. The only criticism I have of Jordan Love is at the end of the game when he kind of just threw that last second desperation throw. It just wasn't necessary yet. And I think even he would tell you that he would like to have that one back. But he was going to have to try and force something eventually. And, the 49ers defense is really good. Really good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's they played well. They were in the game. It was a great game. Give the 49ers credit. They fought back. Purdy made the plays when he had to. But, you got to play a full complete game to beat those guys. And the Packers kept them in the game for too long, and the 49ers were a more talented team. And more often than not, if you let the more talented team stick around and don't finish them, it's not going to end well for you. And but so they kind of took that from them. In my opinion, the Packers kind of blew it, but I think the 49ers did everything they in their power to. There was some weird plays in that game too.
Yeah.
But no, the Packers should have nothing to be upset about. I mean, like, to be honest, they probably should have beat the 49ers. I mean, I guess you can be upset that, like, hey, you had it in that scenario, but no one expected them to be where they were at. Jordan Love played really well for the 99%, 95% of that game. They were even kind of running the ball better than I anticipated them running the ball against the 49ers D. So, I mean, their future is really bright. They should be super excited. Packers fans should be super excited. I mean, it's Yeah, they didn't lose because Jordan Love wasn't up to par. They didn't lose because, you know, they were less talented, and that's ultimately the reason why they lost. But they were in a position to win that game, and you got to give the coaching staff a ton of credit. You know, like you said, their defense did enough. I know Debo got hurt that game too a little bit, so that definitely helped. But you know, you got to also give San Francisco some credit. I mean, they could have gotten that ugly and out of control, but Purdy kind of settled it a little bit, and just give the ball to Christian McCaffrey would be the solution to 99% of my problems if I had him
I
on my
know.
team.
Good things happen when that happen, when they do that. What do the Packers need to find this offseason to get them
I
over
think
that hump?
they need to just keep developing Jordan Love, protect him, invest in that, you know, keep that offensive line. Their offensive line actually was pretty good at the end of the year. I think people were surprised by that. Um, keep protecting him and protect the investment. And then, you know, they fired their defensive coordinator. I know a lot of Packers fans are thrilled about that. Um, and we'll see. I don't think they have a replacement yet. Keep building on that defense. If their defense was a little bit better, they would have won that game. I mean, they didn't lose because of, you know, their offense didn't show up, and against
Yep.
the number one defense in the league. So I would be, you know, I don't have a specific player in mind, but you know, keep building in the trenches is always a good idea. I feel like their pass rush kind of, besides Rashawn Gary, kind of tapered off a little bit. And you also got to give the 49ers probably have the best offensive line in the league too. So there's also that. Um, but you know, they're in a good spot. I mean, it's going to be tough because you know the Lions are going to be really good next year. Who knows what's going to happen with the Vikings. I have a feeling Kirk Cousins will be back, but you never know. And then the Bears, like I think I said this before, they have the most interesting offseason out of anybody, in my opinion. They kind of control the offseason with what they do with the first overall pick, Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. So
What would you do if you're the GM or
what would I
whoever's
do?
making the decisions up there in Chicago? What would you do with that pick?
I would do two things. I would shop the first overall pick and see what's out there, and see realistically what you can get for it. And then I would shop Justin Fields and I would see what's out there and what you can get for it. And I guarantee you that's what they're doing. They're doing their due diligence. You got it. You got to know. Can you get the Atlanta Falcons first round pick for Justin Fields? Maybe. I don't know. I can make a case that they should do that. Um, could you get the Steelers first round pick? Maybe. Um,
Is there any team wanting that quarterback first pick?
I mean, yeah, Caleb Williams might be. There's some people that have him as the highest rated quarterback coming out since like Andrew Luck.
I'm not one of those people, but I guess there are
No,
some
and
people.
that's fair. It's funny. You're not supposed to have biases towards schools, but like I always, yeah, USC quarterbacks. I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
And I don't hate
But
him because he went to OU and left OU, and I don't hate him because he played for Lincoln Riley. I don't know. You know, when he came in at that Red River rivalry in Texas and brought OU back against Texas, that took a lot. And he single-handedly won a few games that year that they were going to lose if it wasn't for his play or his special play. I just feel like these last 2 years he underachieved at USC.
a
I
little
know he
bit.
didn't have the greatest team and the greatest offensive line. He'll argue that he didn't have the greatest receivers. He'll give you all the excuses. I get it. But I feel like he just wasn't the leader that I would want coming out of college to give my number one pick to. And
Yeah,
who
and I
knows,
think,
a share of my team, whatever he wants, right?
well, that's the thing too. Is like, no, there's some reports that there's some certain teams he doesn't even want to play for, which I don't know. You know my whole cutter quitter take there. So not a fan of that. But yeah, I think what makes Caleb so special, and I haven't really looked so much into the tape yet, so I don't want to like give over analysis there. Um, he just kind of does things on he's kind of got that Mahomes playmaking ability where he can just kind of like make something out of nothing, and just fit these balls in these windows that it's just like most people can't do that. Um, but yeah, I think he is going to be the first overall pick for sure. I do think that he is the best quarterback in this draft. Um, Drake May is pretty close, and I like Jaden Daniels a lot too. Um, but that the upside is pretty high for him. Um, but yeah, no, it's an interesting decision. And what I actually find kind of interesting is the perception of Justin Fields is kind of all over the place. I personally think Justin Fields is a really good quarterback. I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's perfect. I think there's some flaws there for sure. I also don't think he's been put in the best position to succeed uh, for most of his career. And when they've kind of gotten things better for him, getting a guy like DJ Moore it's wild. It's you get a legit number one wide receiver, and all of a sudden quarterbacks take the next step. It's an interesting concept. But it's interesting. I think to me, the real interesting element of this is actually the money factor, because if you keep Justin Fields, you're going to have to pay him sooner, right? So you're going to, if you trade Fields and then you select the rookie, it's a 5-year window where you kind of have like, what the salary is going to be. It resets, right? But if Caleb Williams is as good as everyone thinks he is, his second contract, and especially 5 years down the road, is going to be monumentally bigger than Justin Fields' second contract he's going to get probably this offseason,
Right.
wherever he is.
But you can't
So
put a price on a championship. So if you
right,
think they're going to bring you that championship, you cannot pay too much. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna get that money back very easily.
yep.
I just feel when I think of Caleb Williams, I think of um put AB, Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster together with a what is that quarterback from Texas A&M that won the Heisman? Forget his name now.
Manziel?
Huh?
Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. So I think he's got Johnny Football mentality with the skill, behind quarterback, and then the craziness of how he views the business of the game that Le'Veon Bell or Juju Smith-Schuster, just that business drama kind of very skill, help us win, but don't mess us up in other ways kind of deal. That's who I think. That's what I think of
It,
Caleb Williams.
you might not be wrong. I mean, I don't know the kid at all, so I don't want to, uh, um, I have a little different take than most people. I like people see like some of these red flags on guys and get nervous. To me, that just is opportunity, in my opinion. But
Lucky for Caleb, he didn't have to sell autographs to make money, right?
yeah, well, that's the thing. Kid
Illegally.
was living, kid was living in a penthouse for the
I
last two
know.
years.
He's going to go in the NFL and get a pay cut. Jeez.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but you might be right, at least his first
All right,
year.
let's talk about the Lions and the Bucks. I thought that game could have gone either way. I was rooting for Baker and the Bucks to come out. I think at the end, I don't know, the Bucks defense just sort of had no answers to what Jared Goff was bringing to the table, and before you know it, it's like what just happened? We're down by 2 touchdowns. I don't know.
Yeah, it's too bad for the Bucks that they don't play the Eagles every week.
Right.
It's Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the game was a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be. I kind of thought, especially at home with the Lions, some momentum there. I didn't think I thought they were going to kind of run away with it. And the Bucks answered. I think Baker played fine. Um, you got to kind of give the Lions credit. They're just a better team. Again, the better team more often than not is going to win. And they're just better. I mean, the Lions rookie class is like historically good. It's pretty awesome, especially on the offensive side of the ball with Laporta and Gibbs. I mean, I don't Laporta might have had the most impressive rookie tight end season ever. Um, and again, and I know we kind of jumped over the Texans, but I do think what we saw from CJ Stroud was the greatest rookie season ever. So I want to give him some flowers there. That was super impressive what he did this year, and the Texans got a super bright future. But with that being said, I think Sam Laporta might have just put up the best rookie tight end season, and Puka Nacua might have put up the best wide receiver rookie season we've ever seen. So the NFL is in the future is bright here. There's a lot of talent. But I just thought it was pretty historic. If you look back on him, you can make a case that in those three positions, we've seen the greatest rookie seasons ever. Like that's pretty wild.
Do you
Um,
think you attribute this talent to Jared Goff kind of figuring it out? You know, he kept his turnovers low. He was able to manage the game a lot better than I was used to watching him do.
yeah, Jared Goff is he kind of got it didn't end very well for him in Los Angeles, but even then they still went to a Super Bowl. Um, I feel like he kind of got an unfair rap. I think expectations of quarterbacks are a bit extreme at times. Um, Jared Goff's a pretty good NFL quarterback, and I think a lot of credit has to go to Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, who I cannot believe is staying again 2 consecutive years. I thought he was the top head coaching candidate. Well, I thought D'Amico Ryan's was the top head coaching candidate last year, but this year I thought for sure he was the top head coaching candidate. And again, he's just like and I respect it because you know what? I think there is risk of going to a head coach, and he's going to be one of the highest paid offensive coordinators in the league. And it's hard to argue with what he's done and what he has done with Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff maybe isn't a MVP caliber quarterback, but he has turned him into a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, and they've built a really good offense around him. They've got a really good scheme. They got really good running backs with Montgomery and Gibbs. Um, Amon-Ra St. Brown is probably the most underrated wide receiver in the entire league. He is a absolute monster, um, legit #1 receiver. They got Laporta, like I said, who is probably already a top 5 tight end in the league, or not right there. Um, so, and their offensive line, I mean, Penei Sewell is unbelievable, one of the best tackles in the league. Um, I know he made a couple of mistakes in the championship game, but you know,
Do
going
you
up
think
against
do you think Johnson is just thinking I'm only a tweak of a better defensive coordinator away from winning the Super Bowl? Like I'm bringing this to the table. I just need that side to do their job, right? And we
well,
can win it all.
I think what's actually interesting is because like he is fully in control of that offense, right? So if he was going to go, like, say he was going to, I think that everyone expected him to be the Commanders coach. I think that was like what everyone was expecting.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I don't know. I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know what the money is and what the offer is, but like, he's kind of, yes, Dan Campbell's the head coach and runs the show, but like he runs the offense fully, and that's what he would be doing if he went to anywhere else. It's not a bad situation to be in. Um, you're gonna be on a team that's probably gonna be a top 5 Super Bowl favorite going into next season.
Yeah.
And he probably looked at the available places, and besides the Chargers, which I think he would have taken that job if they offered it to him. I really do. Um, I don't think any of these situations were all that glamorous. I don't think the Titans' job is set up for success right away. I don't think the Commanders' job. The Seahawks are kind of like in this like awkward like stage of like we're not good, we're not bad. So it's like, you
But
know,
let's be honest, you're not gonna have a job available where where you have a great team, right, and a chance to win right away. That's why they're needing a new coach because something happened and it's not working.
we
But
may, yeah,
but you also want to be in a team that will have the resources for you to become successful, right? Whether it be the culture, the money, you know, the 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 Packers of the world, you know, the Cowboys of the world, those vacancies don't come about very often. I mean, right now, I know we're going to talk about McCarthy, among other coaches who were surprised are staying with those high profile jobs, but you know, unless he has a love for a specific team, it's going to be very hard to just wait around for that perfect opportunity.
yeah. Well, it's also interesting. I mean, I think there's a realistic chance that the Eagles are looking for a head coach next year. I think there's a realistic chance that the Cowboys are looking for a head coach next year. Um, I think that, I mean, there's some people that think Andy Reid's retiring after this year.
Yeah.
Which I'm not one of those. I don't, unless there's some health issues that we don't know about, which, I hope not for Big Red. I love Andy Reid. Um, I just don't see him walking away from that situation. You would have to, I would be dying on that field as long as I had Patrick Mahomes. Um, but so I mean, so I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, Vrabel didn't take a job this year because I think I mean, unless he gets the Commander's job, which I don't think he's going to. Um, he's taking the year off. It seems like Belichick's going to be taking the year off. Um, there, you never know. There's no guaranteed, openings from year to year. That's for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of people this year that were surprised at how many openings there were. I mean, um,
Is there
would you
money in staying in Detroit, winning a Super Bowl, and then getting a coaching job? Is there a lot more money with that resume than what he has now?
probably, although he probably would have been one of the higher paid coaches in the league. I don't know if he would have gotten Harbaugh money, but if they win the Super Bowl, he might. Um, so yeah, I think there's some incentive there for sure. You know, the counter argument is like strike while the iron's hot. Like, what if the Lions have a down year next year, and then you kind of like maybe threw away the opportunity to definitely take over as a head coach? But I still think he would be a top candidate because I think the only way that Lions really have a garbage year next year is if they have key injuries. You never know though; it's still super early.
Or a worse defense, which you never know,
Yeah,
could happen.
yeah.
I
It'll be
mean, their
interesting to see.
defense wasn't stellar this year. They did give up a lot of points. You're talking about winning games after giving up 20 points, 31 points, 2024. What is that? 41 points, 29 points. So they weren't great. And I think one thing that we see from the teams that are now going to the Super Bowl is their defenses play above average. I mean,
Yes.
definitely the 49ers way above average. They kind of set the standard in the NFC, but for the AFC and the way that teams are slinging the ball, I think the Chiefs were able to hold it down too. So
And the Chiefs, their defense has really carried them the whole year, and it continued again, in my opinion. I mean, they didn't score any points in the second half against the Ravens in the
yeah.
championship game, like zero,
Yep.
which is kind of amazing in the fact that that's even a thing. Um, and so the defense really did win them that game.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I mean you can't neglect the side of the ball. Like it's just not going to happen. I mean, I know like that Eagles Patriots Super Bowl is just like an absolute shootout. Um, and Matt Patricia was on the other sidelines. We should have known, but um, yeah, it's just it's so hard, and especially when weather will be a factor this time of year. Um, you got to have a good defense. You gotta stop because shitty weather's skews favorable to the defense.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I don't I don't think that the Ravens utilized their running game enough. You know what I mean? I think that Lamar was back in the pocket too many times trying to figure out what to do. If they were more deliberate in establishing or using their running tools, specifically with Lamar calling some shots there, some plays for him, that would have kept that defense off, on their heels. And with that rain they had, they could have been more successful, I think.
yeah, no, for sure. And I think the thing to remember too about the Ravens is, that J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles at the beginning of the year. He was supposed to be their starting running back. Keaton Mitchell, who looked really good for a lot of this year, fun rookie, he was out for the year. So they were kind of already on there. I mean, I know Gus Edwards is pretty good, but like there's a difference. The difference between being a pretty good running back and a running back that's a game changer. Um, and I think that it kind of caught up to them a little bit when it mattered most. But you got to give the Chiefs credit, like I said. I mean, like Lamar was not going to burn them. And he still made some unbelievable plays.
Right.
It's just like okay. But yeah, no, it's yeah, I'm with you. The reason why the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl this year is not because of their offense. It's because of their defense.
Right.
Their offense happens to have the best player ever, or at least in the world right now. I can't say ever. He will be the best player ever, I think, but not yet. But yeah, I mean, they're just absolute monsters. So it's I was kind of surprised. I mean, look, the Ravens defense played great too. I
Mhm.
mean, like I said, they held the Chiefs to 0 points in the second half. I don't know how many times it's happened in Mahomes' entire career.
Right. Yeah. No,
So
and Ravens always bring that solid defense
yeah,
year after year. So I think that we know what to expect there. And the fact that Chiefs can say we went in only got 17 points and came out with a win. I know they're a little surprised and happy about it. So,
Yep.
all right. So
It's-
we got the Super Bowl now. 49ers Chiefs. People say this is the Super Bowl when nobody won it. I don't know about that. I mean, I think I enjoy seeing the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and I'm getting used to it. What, 4 out of the last 5 years now, I think. And the
Ridiculous.
49ers earned it, right? The 49ers have the complete package, in my opinion. They have a good defense, they have a good offense, they have arguably the best running back in the league. So, yeah, they earned it, they deserve it. I think that this is what you want to see. Can they take down Mahomes, right?
For better or worse, the 49ers have been the best team in the league pretty much all season.
Yeah.
So they've earned it. I know a lot of people will give Brock Purdy shit. And he's definitely in a very good situation to succeed, but it's not easy to win at all in the playoffs. I mean, that's the one that's another thing that's just so absurd of what the Chiefs are doing. Like, but it's you can't take anything for granted at all. And I mean, it was what was the stat? Like they didn't have a fourth quarter comeback in Shanahan's like entire his entire history as a head coach for the 49ers. They haven't had a fourth quarter comeback.
Right.
And they had like 2 consecutive weeks to go to the championship game and then go to the Super Bowl. I mean, like that is the definition of growth. Like, and it's also could be regressing to the mean a little bit. But
if you ask me what this is, people think it's not the stock market. This is the win probability of the 49ers. They go down and then they come back. They go down and they come back. It's like, come on now.
But yeah, I mean that was a weird game, and I'm not trying to make Lions fans upset, but like I mean that they literally choked that game away. I don't want to talk too much about it because like I feel bad personally because I mean look, as much shit as the 49ers have talked after the Eagles beat them last year, they backed it up. And I can't, but I'd be lying to you if I said I was rooting for them.
Right. Yeah. They
was
really
hoping.
gave it up. And I mean, the 49ers took advantage of the opportunities that were given to them. Way too many opportunities that were handed to them. It was like, here you go. But yeah, I think that looking back, Detroit is probably mad at themselves for letting this one slip by and giving it away.
It hurts.
Because they also did earn it and play well enough to win this game. They should have won the game. Play well enough to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I feel that they should have won that game. It is what it is. They'll learn from it. But also the 49ers, this is where experience also comes into a play. I mean, I know Purdy's not that experienced, but that was the game he got hurt last year. He had some unfinished business there. And the first half wasn't great. But whatever Shanahan did at halftime, whatever conference they had, I mean, they came out in the second half and they looked like the best team in the league. Like they were the 49ers. And that one Brandon Ayuk play was one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. Like just ridiculous. And
I know at that point I'm thinking, well, I don't know if it was third down or not, but I'm thinking you're at the 1, almost at the 2, falling backwards. Drop the ball, bat it down. It's like that tip drill in the end zone for the Hail Mary. Like just bat it down. Worst case is they kick it and you worst case get it at the 1, but you probably won't,
Man, it's hard to do in the moment, man. It's hard to do in the moment. It's one of those freak plays. It happens. But I was going to ask you because you texted me during that game about the Lions' decisions to keep going for it on 4th down and between kicking the field goal. I'm curious.
I think that was terrible decision.
Which one? All of them?
Both of them. All of them. I mean, not necessarily all of them, but when you have points, this is not regular season and you can make it up later if you let a game slip by. This is the playoffs and you don't go chasing points, especially in the championship game of your conference. Like if the points are there, you take them and then you move on to the next drive and play defense. You don't try so hard. You don't give away points to try and get more. No. So I question why that happened again and again.
Well, I mean, that was kind of their identity the whole season, right? It's like kind of like why we're there, why change my identity when we're there. It's funny. Actually, the only one I really disagreed with, it's funny, is actually when they kicked the field goal at the end of the half. And the reason why I say that is because you're like the most aggressive team in the league. You're already up I mean, I know it was a three. It went. I think they were up by 14, and that put
Right.
it to a 3 possession game. So I understand the logic behind it. Um, but you have 3 yards to score a touchdown, and like, to me, it's like when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. They don't run the Philly special there. They don't win the Super Bowl. Like, and I'm not saying run the Philly special there. I would just give the ball to McCaffrey. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like that's been your aggressive identity. And I think the fact that they kicked the field goal there, I can't prove this. I just feel like they started to overcompensate, where it's like, okay, well, we kind of left an opportunity, like 4 points on the board, so now let's try and make up for it. And to be honest, now one was bad. The one where Goff kind of just like fluttered it up, and there was really, it had no shot to be complete. That was bad. They should have kicked the field goal there.
Yeah.
But the other one, they executed it perfectly. The receiver just dropped it. Sorry, they had the right play call. The wide receiver Reynolds just dropped it. I mean, that's all about execution, and they've executed that all year. And look, it's a different game. I think I said it before.
What do I get? That's their MO and that's their identity. But what do the analytics say? Right?
It's more often than not, it's aggressiveness. More often than not, if you're kicking, if you're in, it depends, because there's also like the script and the game score, and I don't know I should have looked up what our numbers said if it was like suggested to go for it in all these scenarios. I'll look at that, and I'll come back next podcast.
Is it maybe a cash moment right here where the analytics and the numbers say this, but if you get the feel for the game and understand that you're chasing points now that you could have, and if this opportunity presents itself like it did two times and you didn't cash in, that's 6 points, man. You lost by 3. So you do the math.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think the analytics play would have told them to go for the touchdown when they were on the 3 yard
When
line.
they kick the field goal, yeah.
Kick the field goal. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, so I'll confirm that on the next. But more often than not, if you're on the opponent's side of the field and it's 4th and 5 or less, or 4th and 4 and less, actually, so less than 5 to go.
Yeah.
More often than not, it is recommended to go for it. The analytics play is to go for it, and that's why you've seen a huge uptick in people going forward over the last 10 years, but you've seen it like explode over the last 5-6 years. Every situation is a little bit different, and I don't know with the going up the 3 possessions if that it probably would have changed a little bit of a factor.
Has Campbell come out and said anything about it? I don't know if I've heard anything yet.
I think so. I think he just the only thing I heard him say was just like, this was our MO the whole year, and it's what got us there, and we're not going to change now. And if they executed, he's the greatest coach ever, and it's the greatest decision ever. It's like the same thing with Doug Peterson, the Philly special. They executed it. It's the best play call ever.
Yeah.
Ray Burton throws that ball in the second row. It's the worst play call ever. So it's like, it's all going to be result based. It's all going to come down to it. But at the end of the day, he trusted his team to execute like they have all year. I think they were the #1 team at conversion rate on 4th down this year. They definitely had the most attempts. I'm pretty sure
they tried the most, that's for sure. I mean, and let's be honest. I mean, I don't think that's what lost them the game. I know I was doing the math and all that, but there were a lot of 3rd downs that the 49ers converted that normally a team won't have that high of a conversion. And so 3rd and 4th downs for that matter. So I think that he did stick to his MO and identity as a team, and probably expected that his defense on average would play well and not give up so many 3rd down, conversions. So if that happens, it's the whole different story. And then, he's doing the same thing he did, they probably would have come out on top.
It's actually funny. I was texting one of my buddies on the 3rd down stuff. I was like, I thought the Eagles weren't playing anymore. What am I watching? Because that was the worst team I've ever seen at getting off the field at 3rd down. I think they were historically the worst team ever on 3rd down.
So far, you and I are tied on our picks for the Super Bowl, for the playoffs. I don't know if you knew that.
We had the same. Okay.
So,
yeah.
What do you think will happen in 2 weeks in Vegas?
It's a really good question. I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. I Okay, historically in my lifetime, I've had one rule, and that rule is to never bet against Tom Brady. So
Oh, we
that
have a
was
new
my.
Tom Brady.
I think I have officially graduated to there are now two rules that I live by when I'm making picks. Never bet against Tom Brady. Obviously, he might come back. It's still a thing. And I'm never going to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And that's just it. The 49ers are a better team. I'm going to tell you that right now. The 49ers are a better team. They've been the best team in the league all year. I think Andy Reid is a better Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan. I mean, Andy Reid probably it's a better coach, but Kyle Shanahan's the man. Like it's a wash. That's a wash there, in my opinion. It's close enough. Um, I think their defenses are similar, but the 49ers, like, I don't think anyone's better than the 49ers defensively. Chiefs are close. They're up there. I think their offensive line, the 49ers are better. So you go in the trenches and you see who has the advantage. I can't wait to watch Chris Jones go up against that offensive line. That's gonna be the must watch TV. Um, same with Bosa going up against the Chiefs. But I think the receivers are way better. The skill players are way better for the 49ers. I think their running back is better. Although I do love Pacheco. Pacheco is the man. How he fell in the seventh round, someone still needs to explain that to me. Um, but obviously
So
McCaffrey.
all this to say you're still going with Mahomes?
All this to say, I'm still not going to bet against Mahomes. I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
Okay. Well, for all or nothing, I'm going with the 49ers. I won't be surprised if either team wins. I think they both have it in them to win, whether it be a close game or going away, whether it be just piling it on and taking advantage of opportunity or whatever. I can see the game, just anything can happen and either team can win. I think they both can win. But I'm just going to go against you, and I'm going to pick the 49ers.
What's the right play? If you go through everything I just said, analyze it. I mean, the 49ers are better. Like top to bottom, they're better.
Yeah.
But the
And
Chiefs
I
have a
don't
better
like
quarterback.
ties, so
Yeah.
I'm
And
not trying to tie
The Chiefs
you
have a
up.
better quarterback. And not only do they have a better quarterback, they have probably the most talented quarterback ever, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I can't say he's better than Brady yet. He's got a long way to go.
Yeah, he's
People
got a few fingers without any jewelry on them, so
Um, but yeah, this is another down year, and that's what's ridiculous. It's like I think I said it earlier already, so I don't mean to be repetitive, but it's like last year they lost Tyreek Hill, was a down year. They won the Super Bowl. This year, offensively, it was a down year. They lost Eric Bieniemy, kind of clearly went through a little bit of an identity crisis on offense for a while. I think their skill position players still are terrible. I was shocked. Valdez Scantling caught that ball at the end. I was expecting to drop. I mean, they won't even play Kadarius Toney anymore. But
yeah, I think he's on his way out, isn't he?
yeah,
After those tweets or whatever he posted.
I don't think he's going to be in the NFL much longer anyway, which is sad because he has all the talent in the world, but it's can't help people if they can't get out of their own way. But and Travis Kelce, come playoff time, I mean, it's like all these people were talking about how he's on the decline, he's on his way out. Terrible matchup against Hamilton with the Ravens, and I mean Travis, don't bet against Travis Kelce, especially now with the Taylor Swift voodoo magic behind him. It's pretty crazy, but it's pretty unbelievable, honestly. And the Chiefs find a way to get it done, and a lot of it is Mahomes, a lot of it is I think Andy Reid's amazing.
Yeah.
Spagnuolo is one of the best defensive coordinators ever, in my opinion. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch, but it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, I would be shocked if either team ran away with this.
It is. These guys have what it takes. They have that extra Mahomes and Kelce, but you can tell that they don't listen to the noise. They don't care what anybody says about what the game should look like or what the disadvantages are. They're going out there to play and they're going out there to win. They don't really care who's lining up against them. So,
and I'll say this is going to be my extra strike because I think we're probably going to transition to the strikes too. But like my extra strike is like Justin Tucker. What are you doing poking the bear, man? Like what are you doing aggravating Patrick Mahomes before the start of an AFC Championship game?
you think they're doing it on purpose?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind he was doing that on purpose.
Who's the other kicker that is it from Indianapolis that likes to mess with people and um usually
Well,
when halftime starting, he's like in the way of the cheerleaders all the time and in the way of the other team. I don't know. Uh,
I know McAfee used to kind of give everyone shit.
yeah, McAfee. So I think Tucker should have known better.
Yeah,
He's
it's
no
just
McAfee.
what are you doing, man? Like that's the last thing you need to do is poke the bear, especially before one of the biggest games of your life.
Yep. All
Uh,
right, well, let's do this. Let's go into our strikes. We're gonna go to
all right,
strike one, so I'm gonna let you go first. What's your first strike?
want me to go first?
Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna get this out of the way since it's official. Eagles are keeping Sirianni. I'm on record. I would not have done that. I still don't. I don't know if it's the right decision, but I'll say the Eagles better be right because I do love the offensive coordinator hire. I think Kellen Moore is a solid fit. It's different. It's new. He's under center a lot. There's a lot more motions we'll see. And if you look at like Keenan Allen's route tree, I dream that they use Devontae Smith and AJ Brown similarly. Um, I do think we have a better shot at. We have an established offensive coordinator. Brian Johnson clearly didn't work. Whether that not Brian Johnson didn't work because of Nick Sirianni remains to be seen. I guess we'll find out. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought the press conference was very, very weird. It's like I think even a reporter even asked like Sirianni, like, so what's exactly your job if you're not going to run the offense or be involved in the defense? Which I think is a very valid point. Is part of my reason I don't understand why he's the head coach. Um, but yeah, the Eagles are going. They are sticking to the Sirianni plan. I'll give them credit. Didn't act emotionally, and maybe it will end up being the right decision. I have my doubts. I have my concerns. I like the Vic Fangio defensive coordinator signing. He should have been the defensive coordinator last year anyway. That was a whole debacle about Gannon not leaving and then leaving, and we lost Fangio because of it.
Yep.
I thought it was funny when they announced, oh, Fangio and the Dolphins mutually agreed to part ways so he can pursue other opportunities closer to his family. And it's like his family in Philadelphia.
Now, what Kellen Moore are the Eagles going to get? Are they going to get the Kellen Moore of the last 2 years, or are they going to get the Kellen Moore of 6 years ago?
Well, 6 years ago, he might have still been playing football. I think Kellen Moore he got a little unfairly bashed for what happened to the Chargers. I mean, his quarterback got hurt. They had it wasn't just him. They had a lot of injuries on the offense. And Easton Stick actually played better than he might actually be a backup quarterback in the league for a while based on what he put up. But what I like about Kellen Moore is it's something. One, it's new. It's completely different. And I know some people might not like that. You like consistency, but like whatever the hell it was at the end of the year, the Eagles were trying to do is just awful. So I like that it's new, and it seems like Kellen Moore will run a lot more plays under center and utilize motion a lot. And that is something that the Eagles just for whatever reason refused to do compared to other teams in the league.
Yeah.
And I think that stunted Hurts' development. I really do. Just having him rely on playing hero ball or fuck it, AJ Brown's down there somewhere. Let's throw it up. Is just a recipe for regression, and it's not sustainable. And I think Kellen Moore having the experience playing in the NFL, I mean, not for long, but he's got some experience there. He can help him, I think, is what I'm saying. It's not like Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts were like really good friends growing. Like it was like kind of it was a weird dynamic. Jalen needs to be coached. It's not just Jalen too; it's everybody. I think this is good for AJ Brown. I think this is good for Devontae Smith. I think this is good for Dallas Goedert. I don't know who the Eagles running back is going to be next year, but it probably isn't great for the Eagles running back, whoever that is. But we'll see. I like it. He's young. He's an up and coming. I mean, chances are. I mean, chances are if he does really well, we're going to lose him to a head coaching job, which is like kind of another reason why I don't really understand the whole Sirianni dynamic. Whatever. But I just anything would be better than what we ended up with last year, and I think it's a good hire. So that my strike one is all right. The Eagles, they're sticking with Sirianni. It is what it is. you brought in really, I really do like the offensive and defensive coordinator hires. Now it's time for Howie Roseman to cook and do what he does. And there's no reason why the Eagles shouldn't be one of the top 5 teams as a legitimate Super Bowl contender again next year. The talent's still there. I'm so done with hearing this AJ Brown trade bullshit. He's not going anywhere. Enough with the stupid media trying to make stories out of nothing. Like, I'm done with that. I hate Philly sports media sometimes.
Who's gonna back up Jalen this year?
It's a good question. Right now, I know they drafted Tanner Mackey or McKee. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. He actually looked pretty well played pretty well in the preseason. I told you, I think I even said it on this podcast. I hope they sign Nick Foles. I really do.
I know. I think that there's some value in bringing back a veteran to back you up, because even though, Hurts is taking the number one, the first team snaps most of the year, he's still in there with that vet and learning from it. And I think, whether you want to or not, you're going to pick up some things from everybody that you play with and help yourself with your resources and your skill. So I think there's value in bringing somebody like that than having, I don't know, a rookie come in to back him up, and really he has nothing to offer the team at that point.
I agree. I think it would help Jalen's development. I think it would have helped Jalen this year if he had. I mean, and it's not a disrespect to Marcus Mariota. He just doesn't
Right.
seem to be like that type of guy where it's like, I'm going to go out of my way. Here's what I'm seeing. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And
Mariota's more like, I'm gonna be over here if you need me.
Yeah, and he's a good dude, and he's going to get a job someday. I think he makes a lot of sense for like Miami or something like that. But and maybe he'll come back. I don't know. It's kind of funny. I mean, Gardner Minshew just got named to the Pro Bowl. He was our backup last year. I hope that they bring in a veteran backup quarterback. It would be Nick Foles for me. Flacco maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Something like that. But
I don't know. I think Flacco wants to still. He thinks he can play and bring the team all the way to the Super Bowl. So.
I'll see what Flacco wants to do. It'll be interesting. But yeah, someone like that, I think, if nothing else, just to act as a extra coach and a pair of eyes for it. It's like when Josh McCown was at the end of his career and he was kind of kept getting jobs everywhere. It was like, essentially a mentor. Like, you need that.
I think Teddy Bridgewater is retiring, so that's
Teddy would have been a good one, but he's and good for him, man. He made that comeback. People forget about that crazy injury, I think. Happy for Teddy.
All right, I'm gonna go to my strike one. I'm gonna talk about baseball spring training, and the reason I want to bring that up, so you have the Grapefruit League, the Cactus League, both leagues where you have half the league basically playing all their games in Arizona or Florida. Is a cool thing for fans that decide, okay, I want to go watch my team in the spring training down in one place. Maybe I can catch them at different ballparks against different teams and catch other games. But do you think that it would be wise to have some of these teams play in their home fields? And I know some of them may be still a little bit chilly, right? But maybe have some training closer to home, or do you think that is ideal to have this whole other I don't know what you call it, economy of baseball that happens in these specific states and nowhere else?
It's interesting. I kind of like how it's set up in Arizona and in Florida. I never made it to Arizona except for when I worked for the Reds, and Arizona spring training is awesome. There's no rain ever. The weather's normally pretty perfect. Big fan of it. If you've never been to Arizona for spring training, I would highly recommend it.
I haven't. Maybe we should go.
Yeah, no, we should go. I would be very interested in going if you're in, and everything's so close. Unlike Florida, where they're kind of like all over the place. I think everyone's within like a 2-hour radius of each other, like at most. Like a lot of times.
Okay.
So yeah, no. If you working in the industry, people like Arizona a lot more than Florida for multiple reasons. Travel is one of the main ones. Weather is the other main one.
Is it going to be a circus this year with Ohtani switching teams? I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. Like, oh, I got to go watch Ohtani. Well, he was in a team last year and the year before. Have you not watched him yet, ever?
Well, that was my concern when they was talking to the Blue Jays, because we live so close to Dunedin. And I was like, oh, it's going to be an absolute shit show. Yeah, I mean, there'll be a circus around it, but I don't even know if Ohtani's going to be playing in the spring. week. I don't know when he'll be able to swing a bat. But I can tell you, working in baseball, everyone hates spring training because those are long days. They're relentless, and you're there for all day, and you're getting there super early, and it's just kind of a giant shit show. They call it organized chaos. It's not even organized. It's just chaos.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the
But
other side. I like spring break. I do like spring break in one place, aside from the economy factor of it for the cities that actually have these teams. But all my clients are in one place, so I do like that part.
yeah, no, that's nice. I will say this. I think the Rays really benefited last year from, they weren't in Port Charlotte last year, a hurricane, and they got to stay at home and play all their games at the Trop, or, that was their home base. And the Rays got off to an historically good start last year, like historically good. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's related. There's it was kind of an unfair advantage almost to an extent, that they got to practice at their home facility.
Yeah.
So I think spring training, that it's fun. It's also like kind of like the local economy is like when we go to Port Charlotte, it's like it's everyone that's like retired. It's like hanging out in Port Charlotte, but it's like, no, we're here to go watch the game. And then, Clearwater, you got Phillies, Dunedin, you got the Blue Jays. It's kind of, it creates a lot of buzz. It's fun. And to be honest, it's like it's really good for like kids, in my opinion. Spring training is the perfect way to get kids to like baseball, because it's like you can get close to the players, you can get there early. The weather, it's normally during the day, weather's nice. It's kind of it's a good transition where it's like you don't have to like necessarily sit in your assigned seats in the 300 level.
Yeah.
It's the spring training, it's a necessary evil. It's probably too long. That's a different conversation.
Now,
But
to the real fan, though,
yeah.
when you have split squads and you have people that are playing every other game, I mean, you go there and don't see the star power that you're expecting, right? So that's one thing for the true fan, if you're chasing a player or something like that. Another thing, though, you just mentioned about the Rays playing at home last year, and other teams don't. So after spring training, everybody goes home to start the season, and they either start, their first series at home or on the road. And now you're trying to reacclimate your playing, to your home stadium for that matter, or going to other stadiums. It is what it is. You're only going to play there a few times a year, so you're not going to be like 100%. But at your own stadium, you don't really have a huge advantage for the first couple of weeks until you play there another 10 games to kind of get reacclimated with the stadium. So I don't know. I don't know if that's really that's an advantage not being taken advantage of.
What I also think is a disadvantage is like the team, like when I was with the Reds, for example, when they're in spring training in Arizona, then they're going back home and it's a completely different time zone. And it's like, and not that it's like a big deal. Like these guys are professional athletes. Like I get it, suck it up. It's not that big of a deal. But like that is a disadvantage. I mean, it takes the human body time to acclimate it. And like, there's a ton of studies with peak performance and, circadian rhythms and like keeping your, all this crazy shit that we have kind of able to like really track and kind of monitor.
Yeah.
It is a disadvantage to that. So those are the teams I think that get screwed over the most. And I think it's something to keep an eye on. You notice those historically, now there's exceptions to everything. Those type of teams coming from different time zones do start the year slower. And I think that's one of the reasons for it. Now, a lot of it could just be they aren't very good. And
what about teams like Minnesota? Because you're down here sweating it out for a month, and then you go to Minnesota. If you start your homestand in Minnesota, the other team is playing 3 games, but you might be playing 6 or 7 in this cold weather.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. I'd love to see some more studies on like the effects of all that stuff.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
Well, I'm gonna start looking at it and see what happens. Let's go to your strike number 2.
My strike 2 is a good segue here. Kind of, it's a baseball topic, and I'm not saying I know you're an agent. I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm not trying to ruin the podcast or anything. But the baseball offseason used to be a spectacle. It used to be fun. It used to be like, oh my, like, oh, who's signing where, who's all this player movement, all this stuff. And something happened, and I have a theory, and I was going to ask you, um, has the Scott Borises of the world really ruined the excitement of the baseball offseason? Um, because it's what, almost February, it's basically February, and the reigning Cy Young is still available. I mean, Matt Chapman's still available, and a lot of these guys are still unsigned. I mean, thankfully Otani signed because that would have been a nightmare. Um, so I don't know. I wanted to ask you, like, do you? I remember coming home from school. This is before MLB Network and all this stuff. I would run to my computer and be like, okay, what happened today? Like, um, and it was, the winter meetings were this big spectacle of like all this player movement. There was some movement, but so many guys are available later and later. And I feel like this is kind of trending in this direction now every year.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with Scott Boras clients, a lot of the agencies in general. I mean, I literally know teams, like I'm not going to say who, I'm not saying, but like, I know teams that will just straight up not deal with you if you're a Scott Boras client. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, we're on, this is our target list. This is our target list. Oh yeah, we like him. Who's his agent? Scott Boras? Nope. I was there. I saw it happen. Okay. So like, um, I don't know. Do you have a
So it
take on
depends
that?
who you ask, because what happens is now the players use the leverage that they have. It's a business, okay? And when you can understand what you bring to the table, not just on the field, but off the field, in terms of return on investment to a team, to a city, and everything that you bring with you, because these players are now more marketable than ever. It's not just about stats and on base percentage and home runs anymore. It's about the impact they have in the community. It's about the resources they bring with them if they go to another city. All these things are important, and that leverage is being used to help the players, where 20 years ago it wasn't, right? The contracts are skyrocketing, but that's because there's a lot of money there. And the players understand that maybe they need to get a bigger cut of that pie, right? So what Boras has done is be able to identify the true value of a player and everything they bring to the table, and leverage that to get a more fair share of the revenue that is being generated. And not only that, even open up opportunities for the teams in negotiations to provide more revenue sources so that they can get a bigger share of revenue. Otani coming to the Dodgers, that opens up a whole bunch of stuff for the Dodgers overseas, where previously you had your Seattles and your Anaheim Angels kind of being pushed overseas, in Japan specifically. Now you're going to have your Dodgers really, really push. Otani's bringing something to the table that the pitcher that pitched a long time ago from Japan in LA didn't do or didn't bring. So it's a whole different animal. And I think Boras is really exploiting that and really advocating for the player like it's never been done before. A lot of people don't like him and his ways. I get it. Teams don't like him. But I do agree, when I worked for the Rangers back in 95, winter meetings were an awesome thing. We would just be looking forward to going to winter meetings and start dealing and talking to players, talking to agents, figuring out what we're going to do about our roster. I mean, that started in December, I mean, in the back rooms, that started in October, but
I was about
come
to say.
December, it's like we're ready to go. Let's make some plans. Let's settle this roster. Let's figure out all the moves we need to make. Yeah, nothing went past the winter meetings back then. So now I think that it's more of a players having more leverage, and that's why we go into this late in the year, right before spring training is about to start, right around the corner, and you still have players negotiating. You have Adolis Garcia on his arbitration. I think there were $2 million apart between what the team was offering, what he wanted. So that's happening more. But ultimately, when you look at it, the players getting more what they're worth than they were 15, 20 years ago. in my
You
opinion.
can't argue with the results, and that's part of the reason why this is happening, in my opinion.
Yeah, to the true fan, it may seem weird, like just figure it out, stick with the team for your 10-year contract, don't go anywhere, finish your career here. We're gonna love you, we're gonna follow you, we're gonna support you as a player your entire career. The Derek Jeters of the world, they're not gonna happen that much more anymore. So,
Yeah.
but the player has more power now, and that's you can't. It's fair, I think.
It's also interesting just the difference between the salary cap sports and the non-salary cap sports. Whereas, like, if it's a salary cap sport, you got to sign these big guys quickly because if not, there's gonna be no money left.
Yeah.
So that's why the NBA and the NFL, it's like just a spectacle. It's like everyone signs within a week because if you don't, you're not getting the money that you want.
Yeah, it's like if you have a jar and you got to put your big rocks or your big marbles in first, because then the smaller ones will fill up the crack. If you start putting your small ones first and then try to put in your big marbles, you might not have enough room when it's all said and done. So I get it. All right, we're gonna go to strike two for me. I want to talk about the WWE now, not just because they came to St. Pete and
Did you go to that?
and sold out the place, right?
Did you go?
No, I didn't go. I almost went, but I didn't go. But they packed 45,000 people in there. I don't know what the capacity really is of the Trop, maybe 18,000 or something like that, 21,000. But they had the whole infield full of chairs, and that was pretty cool that they're able to do that. Do you think? And then they were here Monday night as well. So, do you think that the the WWE, well, what was I really going to talk about? The WWE just coming here. Do you think that they are going to continue doing that where they perform at baseball stadiums?
Oh yeah.
Or arenas such as that? Because I mean, they'll do, they did the Amalie, which is a hockey arena. They'll do arenas where basketball teams go. But what about where football teams go or where baseball teams play? Do you think they're going to continue doing that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think they're going to continue to push boundaries. I mean, I think it was the second highest attended event ever at Tropicana Field, or maybe it was, or it was the highest since like it just opened. It was something like that. I mean, so it's super successful.
Yeah.
It's funny. The WWE model is so interesting to be able to be that successful without having like a home base, like of
Right.
just like, it's very, very interesting. And I know that just got like sold and it's kind of under like MMA now, or like I'm not 100%. I don't know.
Yeah, UFC bought some of it, and now it's another entity. Who knows? But I do remember my first WrestleMania was at Dallas, AT&T Stadium, and I'm telling you, man, that place was packed. Where Jerry got $100,000, 100,000 people for a Super Bowl. He had like 150,000, I don't know, 120,000 people for WrestleMania. You know what? Let's look up these numbers. But
Yeah, I
if they
mean,
continue doing this, I mean, what else are they gonna? They're gonna start packing all these indoor NFL stadiums for pay-per-views easily. That's a
oh,
lot
no
of
doubt.
money, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're proving that. I mean, look, I mean, they're getting what 45,000 people and at minimum at some of these places that they're going to keep expanding until maybe they, I don't know if they're going to be playing in college stadiums anytime soon. But it wouldn't surprise me if they had the demand for it. It's crazy. I mean, it's such a wild business.
156,000 people were at WrestleMania in 2016 in Dallas
That's
when I
all.
was there.
That's all.
156,000 people. That's like almost as good as Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's it pretty much is. Um, yeah, I mean, they can't do that for like normal Monday Night Raws or like SmackDowns, but like for these pay-per-view events, the Royal Rumbles, the WrestleManias of the world, I think they're going to keep pushing the bigger venues. Like
Yeah.
I think next year they'll be at a bigger venue than the Tropicana Field for the Royal Rumble, wherever it's going to be.
Raymond James Stadium, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, look at this. Look at this. I misspoke. I said they did almost as well as Taylor Swift. They didn't even come close. Taylor Swift had 210,000 people at AT&T Stadium. 210,607 people. How is that even possible?
Average ticket price too. That's
Wow.
crazy.
All right, let's go to strike number 3 for you.
Yeah, well, it's a good transition. It's actually a perfect transition. All right. Some people might strongly disagree with this, but I feel really strongly about this. I am so sick and tired of people fucking bitching about Taylor Swift showing up at football games. How insecure are you? Like, who cares? The reason why it's blown up is because you keep talking about it. If everyone would just shut the fuck up, none of this would matter. Like, and I personally think people are like, oh, she's ruining the NFL. I'm not here to see the circus. Oh, blah, blah. It's like Jason Kelsey's acting like an absolute idiot, and everyone loves that. That's fine. And good. I love it too. And it's like Taylor Swift's swag surfing, and she's like a terrorist. Like, what are you doing? Like, who cares? like, like, let her have fun. She's in love with Travis Kelsey. It's good for the NFL. You know how many people have watched the NFL who actually give a shit about football now? Where it's like that wouldn't have cared at all. I mean, I had a friend who was like his daughter was like, I want to watch the game. I want to watch the game with you. She wants to watch for Taylor Swift. Sure, who cares what the reasons why is? But now all of a sudden, like dads and daughters are like bonding over this, and now like how many fans have become like lifelong fans? I mean, I see it from Jason Kelsey's perspective. It's like I saw when Kelsey's retiring. I was like, all these Swifties are posting about like, why am I so upset about this guy retiring who I didn't even know existed until last year? Like it's just like why do people care so much about like I just don't get it. The whole celebrity thing is like people obsess over everything, and like I find it funny. But people think Taylor Swift. If you think Taylor Swift is bad for the NFL, she is the complete opposite. What she's done has done so much to help grow the dynamic of the demographic of young females that the NFL really is the only demographic that they don't hit is now hitting is being hit, and it's going to continue for as long as this is a thing. Like, so one, get used to it because Travis isn't retiring. There's no way he's retiring. I know there's some rumors out there, but there's no way he's retiring. He's not walking away from Patrick Mahomes. It's not going to happen. The Chiefs aren't going fucking anywhere. In fact, they're probably going to be Super Bowl favorites as long as Mahomes is alive. um, and you're going to be seeing her more and more. And sure, I have Taylor Swift fatigue. My girlfriend is obsessed with Taylor Swift more than any normal human being should be. But you know, she gives me the Eagles and the Phillies and sports. I'll give her Taylor Swift. That's fine. And I don't even look. I don't have anything. I'm not pro or against Taylor Swift. I think she's super talented. I give her a ton of credit. I didn't go to the show. I watched the movie. I was forced to watch the movie, but you know, I watched the movie, and she's super talented, like he's ever. But like, why do you care so much about Taylor Swift? She's not ruining anything. Like, get over yourself. And she is actually helping. And it just bothers me. And I'm done hearing about it. Like, I'm probably just making it worse because now I'm talking about it too. And like that's just feeling it. But it's like it really bothers me. It's like I just don't understand why people care so much. And she's not doing anything wrong. Let her fucking enjoy her life. All right. Like,
All right, well, you're worked up about this, but I'm gonna give you a different perspective here. So by the numbers, of course, Taylor has brought in a lot more money to the NFL. And think about it, the 12-year-olds that are watching football now don't have any money. So
right.
obviously this money's coming from somewhere, people that do have the money. So it's not just the 10, 15-year-old Swifties that are now interested in football. This has brought football into the households of real money making, individuals that weren't looking at football before. So it helps the NFL, and by the economics, it helps a lot of things, not just the NFL. But when it comes to this wave of, oh, I'm sick of Taylor Swift here and blah blah blah, I think it's more where the squeaky wheel gets the oil kind of deal. If you got your tire pressure light on your car and you got to figure out there's one tire that needs attention or whatever, this happens to be the spare tire that nobody really uses anyway. So the people that are making a big deal out of it are a very, very small minority, in my opinion. They're just loud and annoying. That's all it is. Because they think their cause is more important or their opinion is more important. I feel that Taylor Swift could not possibly in any way hurt the NFL, even if she tried, right? She's obviously doing the opposite for the NFL as a business, for the teams as a whole, for the generation that doesn't know about football. She's doing a lot. Why else would TV not, show this? And why would they not? Why would they shy away from it if it's good for everybody? So I just think those few that are actually complaining, truly complaining about the situation, are the very, very small minority. And maybe we just need to stop listening to them, because who cares? There's a spare tire.
I agree. And I think a lot of it is also probably for ratings and views and clicks. You mentioned Taylor Swift, positive or negatively, if you have any sort of platform, it's going to get looked at.
Yeah,
So yeah, I agree.
but I get it.
We probably spent too much time talking
All right,
about it.
my third and last strike. I just want to talk about ticket prices for Super Bowl tickets. What the hell do we do if our team makes it to the Super Bowl? We can't dish out $15,000-$20,000 to go watch them play a game anymore. My last Super Bowl ticket I had for the Pittsburgh Steelers and who the heck was it? Green Bay Packers in Dallas. I paid $900 for my ticket. And then there was an ice storm, so I decided not to go, and I sold it for $900. Why the hell are these tickets $10,000 now? This is ridiculous. You're muted.
I'm muted. I saw that. Yeah, it's a joke, man. It's funny. I remember when the Eagles and Patriots were going, and I looked, and I was like 3,000, 3,500. I was like, and I was making a lot less money back then too. So I was just like, I can't justify it. But it's like, it's only going to get worse. Why do I think it's so expensive? Is because there's that. Look, I don't want to get too political or anything like that, but like there's a giant wealth gap in this country, and the people that can afford the Super Bowl prices at $4,000 can also afford the Super Bowl prices at $10,000, and it prices the average person out. Like, and also like let's call it like it is. The U.S. dollar ain't worth what it used to be. So again, I don't want to.
Is this about status now? Like, is the game about status? Is not about a true fan anymore? It's like, I'm a true fan, but you have to have money. It's about status. Ooh, look at me. I'm going to the Super Bowl at $10,000 a pop. Is that what it's come to?
You're going to the Super Bowl, and it's you're doing something that probably 95% of the world can't realistically afford to do. So yeah, it's a status thing. It's a spectacle. It's become too big, to be honest. I mean, I know there's no such thing as too big, but I mean, what is the ad revenue now? Like the cost for a commercial is like what it was $4 million for 30 seconds now. It's just a giant. Yeah, I have no other really good way of putting it outside of it's for the elites only now.
And don't get me wrong, because we make plans every year. If the Cowboys or the Steelers make it, we're going to the Super Bowl. But I'll be damned, I'm gonna be mad about paying $10,000 for a ticket. I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna be mad about it. It's ridiculous. I went to a Super Bowl in Detroit, and I don't think I paid more than $700. So the hard part back then wasn't affording the ticket; it was finding it. Right? It's like, oh, I got in line, I found the ticket. Yeah, it's okay, good deal. Now it's like you can find the ticket anywhere. It's just gonna cost you a shitload of money. Like,
I think that's the other thing that's factoring into it. You can get it at, I have 20 apps right now that I can go in and literally buy a Super Bowl ticket right now if I wanted to. My bank account wouldn't love that. But it's there. It's like it's at my fingertips. I can go.
And I don't hate the player. I just hate the game, but I don't hate the players. I get it. I have tickets, I sold some most of my World Series tickets. Wait, I did sell all of them. Then we didn't go to any World Series game this year, did we? So I sold World Series tickets. Yeah. And I sold playoff tickets. Yeah, so I get it. We want to sell the tickets and make some money. I think the corporations or whoever, I don't know, the ticket brokers are getting too many of these tickets. So it's not necessarily all just people selling tickets anymore. Now you have companies that are making it for profit specifically and somehow get their hands on all these books of tickets, to be able to generate that profit. But I just think it's crazy. I'm not about, even if the Cowboys made it, I'd go because my wife loves them. I'd be mad about it, but I'd be thinking of a way to never have to pay that much again for a Super Bowl ticket. And they need to do better at distributing these tickets, I think.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's like the number one event I want to go to in my lifetime. I'm pretty serious about that. But it's only going to become less and less affordable, and
Right.
I don't know if I can even ever justify it.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do to put yourself in front of the line. Like only I think 15% of the tickets go to the teams.
Yeah, something
And
like
the
that.
only people that are gonna get them are the people that are hanging out with the people that own the team. You know what I mean? Their
Like
friends and whatever. So
even the players have to pay for their tickets.
yeah.
It's not like they're getting. It's like you got to watch the Kelsey podcast, the Kelsey documentary. But I remember there was like Kylie. It was like, I'm about to spend $60,000-$70,000 to go watch my husband play a sporting event, and to spend $10,000 on a 3-year-old kid who's not even going to be in his seat. So like, it's like it's even the players feel it. So yeah, no, I'm with you. It's sad because it's just a fact. It is way priced out of 99% of the population now.
It's sad. All right. We're gonna go to the last section of our show. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us for this little while. And I think that you are going to do what we call guess the player.
Guess the player. Yeah, we're gonna change it up a little bit because I know you did this to me. Put me on the spot. So I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. We're gonna do guess the player. I'm gonna give you some hints.
All right.
We can start off. So I guess we can start with this player debuted in 2011. And he also was a top prospect in baseball.
Wait, what sport does he play? Did he
Baseball.
play in 2011?
Baseball.
Oh, baseball. Okay.
Baseball. Sorry, this is baseball. Yeah, baseball player. So I know there's a lot. Do you want me to give you like the position?
Well, I need more because every player that debuted in 2011 was a top prospect at some point.
Maybe not necessarily. Okay, how about this? He was so highly ranked that and in the year he debuted, he was ranked as the number one prospect in baseball above Mike Trout and Bryce Harper.
It's funny you said that because I almost said Bryce Harper. Crap. I don't know. What position does he play? This is going to give it away. You can give me something else.
I'll give you something else. Still in the league.
That doesn't help me.
Started his career
13
with the
years.
Tampa Bay Rays.
Evan Longoria.
Nope.
No. Okay.
Right era
though. So he debuted with the Rays?
Debuted with the Rays.
Okay. Still in the league.
Still in the league. In fact, he is now teammates with one of Bryce Harper or Mike Trout.
Crap. Well, that narrows it down, and I still have no clue. Who is there? Is it a pitcher?
It is a pitcher.
It's a pitcher.
This is a tough one. People forget about this guy.
Yeah. Man, I don't even know who was with the Rays at that time. Holy crap. Okay. And now he's either with the Phillies. Wait, or the Dodgers?
Angels.
Angels. Gotcha. Okay. I have no idea, man. One more clue.
Okay, he's no longer he was the starting pitcher. He had Tommy John surgery. He is no longer a starting pitcher.
Man, I'm stumped.
He's on the Angels right now. He actually just re-signed with the Angels. He was on them last year, and he just re-signed with them this year.
I really have no clue. I think you stumped me. I need to.
I stumped you. I got you.
You got me because I'm gonna have to raise my bar next week for you. Who
Okay.
is it?
Matt Moore.
Matt Moore. Darn it.
Remember him?
Yeah, I didn't even know he was in the league.
Exactly.
I'm thinking like through these names, like he's not even.
Isn't that crazy? Like he was the #1 prospect over Mike Trout and Bryce Harper,
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
and he came into the league shoving too.
yeah.
I should have gave you some more stats, but um, I don't know. That was a really tough one, but that was something. It was more to showcase to remind people that he was the #1 prospect in baseball over Mike Trout and Bryce Harper.
That was a good one. I came at you with a Hall of Famer. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. I went harder on
Come
that.
at me with a Matt
You
Moore.
got the Tampa Bay Rays hat, so I was like, all right, let's see it.
Yeah, I should take it off now, huh? I don't deserve this.
That's a really tough one.
Well, Noah, glad to have you back, man. Don't do this to me again. I don't care if you go get married twice or whatever. We need to keep doing this, and we'll meet up next week to make our final assessment of what we think the Super Bowl is going to look like, and let's see what happens this week with some of these free agents that are or arbitration, eligible players that haven't really signed anything. Hopefully, we can get more understanding of what spring training lineups, rosters would look like.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit more. I would like to talk more about the arbitration process in the next one. I feel like
yeah, we should do that. Sounds good. Well, man, thank you to all of our listeners. Again, you can always find us in your favorite podcast platform, as long as that platform is Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find us on our YouTube channel, The Sport Fiction, or our website, www.thesportsfiction.com. From Jorge.
And I'm Noah.
We want to thank you and have a great day.
See ya.